One of the big things that a lot of customers don't do a good job of doing is maximizing the out-of-the-box experiences. And there's two core out-of-the-box experiences I want to emphasize here, where every organization should universally embrace them.
2toLead is a remote-first company based out of Canada.
What makes a world-class Microsoft 365 intranet and digital workplace?
Now, the journey for the app bar specifically, which I'll come back to, may be a little bit longer, right? It may take you a bit more time to fully embrace it because of its, its immature state in its current state, but it will continue to evolve and improve. And as that happens, you want to take advantage of those benefits. The Hub Nav and Site Nav will talk about why the out-of-the-box experience is often not, it's necessary but not sufficient. And so we'll talk about how a lot of customers will go beyond those two investment areas, but it's still important to utilize them, especially within the context of collaboration sites and other spaces. So what's the suite bar and why should we embrace it? Well, the suite bar isn't just like a consistent UX element at the top of Office, like Outlook, PowerPoint, Word, etc. It's also a consistent experience that allows you to quickly engage with things like the app launcher. That's this little waffle-like icon in the top left corner. And that app launcher supports things like single sign-on to different applications through Azure AD. And so there's some really big benefits actually hidden in this little app launcher. So number one, we do encourage people to not hide or mess with this and encourage their usage of it because it allows you to benefit right from the investments Microsoft's made there. The second thing in this top header is that it actually allows you to do search, and search there is built in Microsoft Search. So we're doing a broader Microsoft Search experience, and that Microsoft Search looks across potentially many systems, right? Not just SharePoint or Teams as an example, but potentially many other places as well for content, and that makes a big difference. It's also a similar UX to what you're going to get in Windows 10 or 11. It's the same kind of UX pattern for search in Bing for Business, in the Office applications. So it's a very consistent user pattern, so we really don't want to mess with that if we can avoid it from a customer perspective. And there's even this notification experience within the suite bar, as well as some settings and light personalization capabilities. And we don't want to necessarily hide those because again, they benefit helping people quickly access things like key information in Outlook or things like that that's coming up when they're in the context of, say, an intranet or a collaboration experience. So try and keep and embrace the suite bar. On the left-hand side, the app bar is also quite relevant and important because it gives us ways in which we can essentially take what used to be in the SharePoint home. You can still click on SharePoint here and go to the SharePoint home experience, but it brings it forward and it's globally available. So everywhere I am, I always have the suite bar and I always have the app bar. And one of the nice things with the app bar is it gives us things like my sites. It shows me specifically the sites that I've bookmarked or frequently visited, and those are really great things that scale. We could have thousands of, and most customers have thousands of sites, right? Thousands of teams, et cetera. But it can be a lot easier to navigate those if we're looking at things like which are the ones that I more recently visited, or the ones that are both popular and recently visited, right? So that's what frequent essentially means. On the other side, if we bookmark them, it also allows us to kind of have a bit of personalization, curated control of linking to key spaces. And while today this is limited to things like sites and news and things like that, this will continue to evolve. It is absolutely Microsoft's intention to further increase the ways in which you'd have out-of-the-box controls here and out-of-the-box integration. And also there's an opportunity eventually for partners like Omnia, et cetera, to extend it as well. So again, great two things to embrace if you can and think about long term. The other ones, though, are a little bit more complex. Now, what's great about the hub navigation and the site navigation is you can have mega menus. You can have, modern sectional layouts for mega menus. And, for a lot of small organizations or, very small uses of these systems, it scales fine, right? You don't really have issues with using these experiences. And the hub is really nice because it creates a way in which you can have a consistent navigation at the top across multiple site collections, multiple teams, multiple spaces. Digital workplaces. And so what's great about that is for small organizations, you might have one hub And that might be actually fine with your whole organizational model. And if you have one hub, then arguably you kind of have a global nav through that hub navigation. But again, as soon as you start to scale past 100 users and above, this breaks down quite quickly. And we'll talk about the reasons that still has some gaps in what Microsoft is offering there. But it's nice that we can do things like change the look and feel. We can make this minimal, compact. We can change the coloring and other things like that of these experiences. There's a lot here that you should understand. The other thing that I wanted to talk about just for this app bar is that it's about personalization as much as it is about navigation. So yes, there's a global navigation in it, but let me be clear, this global navigation is really quite weak. It doesn't have a mega menu layout that allows for a significant number of links. It doesn't take over a lot of screen real estate, giving you the ability to have like a really effective, engaging navigation. What it is a quick reference point for some key links. And so I do encourage people to use it, but I do think, we want to have something that's a more significant priority, which is our true global nav that really will take center stage over something like this experience. However, things like personalized news, things like your recent files, these are experiences that are quite beneficial that would be hidden under a web part or in the OneDrive, like there's recent files, or in this example, this is in the SharePoint home. They're often in other places within the environment that users don't go to. So bringing them front and center is a great way of moving the kind of needle forward. There's also a lot of web parts in a page. So if we take the example where this was the header and the footer, the left nav, things like that, we also have all this page content, and lots of people do in-page navigation, right? And there's so many examples of this. We have this wonderful white paper. It's 170 plus pages. It's very detailed that explains a lot of these controls. There's like 40 or 50 controls broken down there, and it explains when to use them and how to use them, et cetera. And so if you're looking for guidance on this comprehensively, your homework is to go download m365intranets.com white paper and take a look through it yourself. In the meantime, let me just summarize a few key ones. One, a good example of one that people miss is things like sending a news digest. So out of the box, you can take out of the box modern news, and you can actually send news digests. This actually helps with navigation because you're making a choice as a team leader or something like that to share particular news articles. On the bottom left here, you see a call to action. There's also like a time countdown timer with a call to action. There's a lot of various call to action type controls that Microsoft has out of the box. Those are all great ways to focus people on navigating to a key resource. Especially I like the time counting down, because if you have something that's literally a deadline for people, you can really encourage them to engage in it. What would be better is if they click on that and finish it, that hides, which you could do with audience targeting, but that's a different discussion. Another big thing here is that you can also have quick links, and quick links, a lot of people underestimate the fact that they have nice icons. You can have a whole icon library that Microsoft allows for out of the box. So it's quite easy, for a user who's not, visually skilled to build, nice compelling sort of link lists and things like that within their environment. We'll come back to this on what is a table content style page and why do we want to avoid it, but it's certainly something that you can do. And then lastly, there's Viva dashboards and other controls like that are great for, multiple stages of interaction where you might be able to navigate and then actually perform an action in a service or something like that. On the other side here, you see things like bookmarking or saving for later, which has been a feature for a long time now, where you can take a page and you can bookmark it and look at it later. Again, an awesome feature. It's has web parts like a roll up for save for later. There's a number of kind of controls that support it. And then there's all sorts of stuff coming. And in current state, the My Feed is another good example of a web part that actually takes signals from Teams and Outlook and a bunch of other places, puts them all together in sort of a unified feed that's personalized for that user. Hey everyone. So as mentioned, there's a dense 50 minutes of content here. I'm always a big fan of giving you guys too much information and insight. So do expect to kind of drink from the fire hose. And with that, let me just quickly describe why I'm here and why I'm talking to you about this particular topic area.